and what kind of use cases they fulfill. Uh, and from yesterday's discussion, we also wanted to learn a little more about, how do we cite AI generated content in research papers? What are the guidelines? What are some things to take care of? So we'll look at that. And in the second session, what we will do is we will look at a couple of examples for, basically doing data analytics, some form of visualization, some form of reporting, right? Some of the most common admin tasks that all of us have to do. So what are some of the ways that, we can do it using ChatGPT, right? So that's what we'll do in the second session. With that, I'll get started, right? So So the very first question that comes to mind, basically when we talk about AI in research, can you please switch off your mics? There's a lot of background noise.
Yes, sir. Just a minute. Somebody's mic is
माझ्या
on.
घरी आम्ही सिरियल पाहतो
Just
नाही
a
तो.
minute,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Just a minute.
हा.
Amol, sir, please mute yourself. Amol Badole, please mute yourself. Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yes. Okay. So one of the most common questions that we have when we talk about AI in research is, right, should I disclose the use of generative AI in research paper? So again, different journals have different guidelines, right? But the common practice that seems to be emerging in the research field is that if you have used any AI tool, you should always disclose it in the methods and acknowledgement sections, right? And one of the things that I would like to highlight is that the number of, retractions on papers, which is like, you submitted a paper to a journal, they checked for AI generated content, they checked for plagiarism, everything, right? The paper might even get peer reviewed, and then it gets published, and then these new tools come out which help you generate AI generated content. And if you have not mentioned that, you have used AI in certain capacity in your methods and acknowledgement, generally what research journals and, all these publications are doing are they are taking those, they're removing those research papers. And I feel that has a much bigger impact on a person's reputation, and even on their credibility, right? Rather than their paper getting rejected. Because imagine, like, 5 or 6 of our papers got published, right? They had some amount of AI generated content, but we had not mentioned that, we might have used some tool just for paraphrasing, or we might have used some other tool for creating a small part of the paper. And when it gets flagged, maybe a year down the line or 2 years down the line, the first thing that the research journal is going to do is they're going to scrutinize all of our other research papers as well, right? And maybe because of that one paper, they might retract 3 or 4 of our papers, right? So that can cause even a bigger issue. So especially when we are submitting for research papers, it is always a good idea, and it's something which is a good practice that, we should declare in methods and acknowledgement where AI was used, right? Whether it was just used for paraphrasing, whether it was used for synthesizing insights, what was it used for? So it is always a good practice to mention, and that is something which all the publications are asking right now. That, please disclose where you have used AI, and if it's not there, like I said, the it might get redacted in the future, which can cause serious impacts, right? The second question that we have generally is, can I use generative AI to write or develop research papers? So again, there are multiple aspects to this. So for example, let's talk about the multimedia first. So altering of image using AI is completely discouraged, right? Generally, the best practice is that unless your research paper is about AI generated images, don't use AI generated images. So that is what the research journals are talking about. Uh, Images or any form of multimedia, right? Whether it's something like a video, or like an image or whatever. Um, I would say don't even upscale it using AI, right? Because it basically creates a new image even when you're upscaling it. So specifically for research paper, just use the photo that directly came out of your camera using like mobile phone or whatever device you have used. The exception here could be that, you can generate figures using AI. So for example, there is this tool called Napkin AI, right? So So one of the things that Napkin AI can do is basically, for example, let's say I have this article, right? Impact of social media on mental health. And I want to create maybe like a figure for this. So I can use AI from napkin.ai to turn this into a figure. So figures are fine, but figures have another issue because journals have their own guidelines on how the figure should look, right? So when we create figures like this is still okay because this is not considered as an AI generated image. This is an AI generated figure, right? So it is basically what has happened is it has written a bunch of lines, it has analyzed some of the content, and then it has created this figure. The text here is still AI generated content, but we can go and change it if we so want. But this figure per se is not something which is considered as an AI generated content. When we talk about AI generated images, it is the images which come out of camera or look like images which have come out of camera. They should not be AI generated, right? So, like research papers say, if your research paper is about AI generated images, AI generated multimedia, include them, but don't include them as part of explaining your research, right? Or maybe upscale them basically using AI. Because when we upscale, when we make any changes using AI, we are creating a fresh image, which is basically AI generated content. So another thing that we had seen a lot happen last year and the year before that was, a lot of people started mentioning ChatGPT as a co-author on the research paper. Then the journals came out and they were quite explicit in saying that, hey, when you say somebody is an author of a paper, basically they hold the accountability for the work that they have done. And since you cannot hold AIs like ChatGPT or Gemini and all accountable for the output they have produced, basically they cannot be mentioned as co-authors, right? And like I said, wherever you have used AI, it's a very good practice, and it is something which is required by journals to mention in your methods and acknowledgement, right? One thing that I think most of the journals have a consensus on, most of the publishers are like very clear about, is that if entire paper is created using an LLM or using an AI, basically it will get rejected. What they say is, see, all these research journals are basically articles written by humans for humans, right? Hence, please don't use AI. And another thing that I would like to highlight here is obviously this area is in flux right now. There are a lot of new innovations happening. People are even debating whether doing something like a literature review by humans, does it make even sense anymore, because a human might take around 3 to 6 months to do a literature research, whereas an AI can do the same research within like half an hour to 2 hours, right? So there is a lot of discussion happening around, there are like different school of thoughts. Some people are saying that, it is required. There is another school of thought where people are saying, AI can do a better job at literature review than humans can. So maybe it's not required anymore, but we don't have any consensus as of right now. So it's better to keep an eye out on what is being discussed, right? And one of the things that is, I think, true for anything that we're using AI is that it is the author's responsibility that content is accurate and valid, right? There is no plagiarism. Everything is cited properly, and especially for journals, that the hypothesis, interpretation, results, conclusions, limitations, and implications of the study, these are authors' own idea. This is not something that they have put their basically data, research data into an AI, and then AI told them that hey, this is the conclusion, these are the implications of the study and all. We cannot directly publish them. We have to own those ideas, put them in our word, explain them ourselves, and only then basically we should put it in a research paper. So these are some of the things that we should be careful about. If you want more information, I found this Harvard research resource quite useful. So if you go here, you will see Harvard has basically curated a lot of resources around how to use generative AI in research. So if you go down, you will find a lot of FAQs and a lot of other good content, right? So can I use generative AI in writing or developing research papers? And if you go and see, they also have like what the different papers policies say about it. How should AI generated content be cited in research papers? So they have all of these things in one place. So like I said, I'll share these research paper, these basically the decks with you. So you will have these resources, so you can look at them, right? So these are some of the main concerns when we are using AI for writing and developing research papers. Another thing that we talk about is, hey, if we are basically doing research using AI, right? So it's like there's an element of LLMs in our research paper. How do we cite the content that we have got from ChatGPT or Gemini, right? So again, there are different guidelines based on different research papers, right? But the general standard practice is, since AIs themselves cannot be held accountable for the content that they are generating, right? What we do is we mention the company which has uh, created that AI, and we mention like which model did we use. So, for example, like when prompted with, is the left brain right brain divide real or a metaphor? The ChatGPT generated text indicating that although the two brain hemispheres are somewhat similar, the notation that people can the notation that people can be characterized as left brain or right brain is cons- uh, considered to be an oversimplification and a popular myth. And then in brackets, we can put the name of the name of the company which has created that AI model, and basically when did you actually prompt it? Because what happens is AI also keeps evolving. So you might ask the same question today, and you might ask the same question 1 month from now or a year from now, and it's going to give different answers, right? So that's why this is the way that we can mention it right now. And if we are mentioning it in reference, we can just mention the name of the company, which here we basically use this prompt to generate a response. Mention which AI did we use, right? Because some companies have multiple AIs now. Which version did we use? So, for example, this is the version which came on March 14, and the type of AI that we're using, right? So it's a large language model, and then the link to the AI model. So another thing that I want to highlight here is basically if we go to chat.com or ChatGPT, right? So let's just prompt for something, right? So generally what happens is even if we ask the same question, what tends to happen is we get a different response. So this is something that we need to be careful about, because when we are putting something in the research journal, generally it is something which should be reproducible. So inherently, we can see that the responses that we use with the AI are generally not reproducible. So that is one thing that we should keep in mind. But when it comes to how do we talk about it, how do we mention it in research paper, these are the guidelines that we need to follow. If you are doing a research which basically looks at like different AI models, right, and you need that your results are reproducible, there is a way to do that, but it is not free. So if we want to do that in something like ChatGPT, what we need to do is we need to go to this website called playground.openai.com. Maybe I'll just go through Google, right? So playgroundopenai.com. So generally, how this works is it is pretty similar to ChatGPT, but it gives us a lot more control over how the AI is used. But it is not free. So generally, how this works is we will have to go and maybe buy credits for like $5 or maybe like even $3, right? Depending on what our use case is, and then we get access to this platform.openai.com. So they have bunch of things that we can do here. So we have chat, we have audio, we have images, we have assistants, and a lot of other things. So we'll go to chat, right? And in chat, what we can do is we can go and create. Then we can choose model. Which model do we want to use? GPT-5 is the latest model, right? And as you can see, all the models that are available for us from OpenAI, most of them are available to us here right now. And the good thing about this is we can select a model like GPT-5, which is going to be the latest model for GPT-5. But if we want to be consistent, that we want to give explicit instructions that hey, this is the model I used. What we can do is we can use the models which have a date attached to them. So basically, what these models do is if a new version of this update comes out, it is not going to impact this model. So our results are going to be always the same, right? And another thing that we can do is it has some parameters attached to it based on like how these AIs give responses, right? So we can choose like what format we want the response in. Reasoning effort should be medium, low, or minimal. Verbosity should be low, medium, high. And should I store logs? And should I use summary, right? Another things that we can do here is we have like a couple of other features as well. So the first one we saw was responses. The second one is completion, chat completions. So it works like a chat. And if we see parameters here, let me use some other model. Let me use O3, right? So O3 also you can see, response format, response effort, logs, so on and so forth. If we go to some older models, let's say GPT-4o, in GPT-4o, basically we can see there are things like temperature, max tokens. So all of these things we can basically use. So the only thing that you might really need is the temperature one. So in temperature basically decides like, how random the answers are, or rather how creative the answers are. So for example, if we want this AI model to act more deterministically, which is basically, if you ask the same question, it generally gives the same response, or it gives the best possible response, we take the temperature down to 0, right? So I'll show you an example. So let me set temperature to 1 first and ask it a question like, what are okay, or simply like, write a poem about AI, right? Not longer than 4 lines, let's say. So write a poem about AI not longer than 4 lines. So it's like in circuits vast mind awakes bright dot dot dot. So it's a poem. So I'll go and open it in another instance, and I'm going to ask the same question. So we'll make sure the temperature is 1, and I'll go and paste this again. And when I hit enter again, so we can compare the two, and we will see it is slightly different, right? So in circuits vast, a mind awakens bright. In circuits deep, where thoughts entwine, right? So it's a different response altogether. But let's see what happens when we set temperature to 1 or temperature to 0. So I will delete this. I'll just copy this and delete this again. So this is the response we got in circuits deep where silence hum. We can confirm that the temperature is 0. And again, in the other one, I'll do the same thing. Delete these two. Paste our question or instruction. Reduce the temperature to 0 and hit enter. So ideally, these should be the same poem because we have set temperature to 0. So every time when we ask this question, generally we tend to get the same response. It's not like 100% of the time we'll get the same response, but somewhere like 95 to 96% of the time we will get the same response. So this is one way of making your work reproducible if you're using AI in your research, right? So that's about this. So please let me know like if you have any other questions which I might not have answered regarding using AI in research paper, or if you want to do a research using AI in your field, right? So how do you cite it? How can you go about using it? And if or if there are any more questions that you might have.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Sir, there is a lot of junk available on internet. How AI choose which reference should be considered?
Yes, sir. So we'll discuss that. There are some tools which can help us with that. We'll
Uh,
definitely discuss it. Yes, sir.
so can I put another questions?
Sure, sir.
Where the suit file against if AI generated matter make a harm or
Yes, sir.
it is against the someone?
Uh, so, I'm not very clear on that, sir, because these rules differ by countries. So as of right now, I know if an AI generated content is something which should not be shown to a user. So, for example, there have been a lot of cases where AI has been impacting mental health in a negative manner. So there have been some cases around it. There have also been some cases filed against AI companies who were generating AI generated images, but these images were basically representations of characters for which rights was owned by different companies. For example, there is a company called Midjourney. So Midjourney creates wonderful AI generated images. But the thing is, they were also generating images of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, all of these Disney characters. So recently, what happened was Disney filed a case against them, and they won the legal battle, saying that they're using our characters without permission. So yes, so AI generated content does have legal liability attached to it, but and that is mainly for the parent company. But another thing is, for example, let's say I am building an application today, and I am using OpenAI's AI model, and the application that I have built, basically it impacts somebody negatively, or basically it violates some of the country's laws. Then what happens is basically OpenAI is not the one which will get sued or which will have the legal liability, but it would be me. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I would like to know, while writing a research paper, we make some theoretical framework or some graphs or something also. So, how
Mhm.
can this be useful? Because in Chat GPT, if we give the prompt of giving some theoretical framework or a flowchart or of some kind, it is
Mhm.
not providing it actual or as we want it for our paper. So, how any of these tools can help in doing that, sir?
So basically, ma'am, if I'm correct, you're asking about how can we create figures using AI
Yes,
for research paper,
right,
right?
sir. Right, sir.
So, ma'am, in that, generally, what I would suggest is find a tool which is basically which can create figures for research paper. Again, it will depend based on which journal you are which journal you are submitting to, plus what field you are in. And what we can do is generally they have a feature in which they can import figures. I'll give a demonstration in some time about how this can be done. And
Right.
what we can do is basically we can get the code or the file generated by ChatGPT, but for that particular platform. Let me just quickly take 2 minutes and show it how this is possible.
Yes.
So this is not just specific to research paper, but any figure you might need to create. So I know a couple of frameworks like where we can create figures. So one of them is like Mermaid, right? So Mermaid can create figures which are pretty simple, and uh, so basically this is what Mermaid does is we can create charts online, right? And another website that I have is draw.io. I think draw.io might be more in line with research papers because it creates very simple line diagrams, right? For example, we can create anything, we can connect them and create another figures. So these are two tools generally I use to create figures. So generally what I can do is I can go to something like ChatGPT or Gemini and I can say like, can you give me code for a figure to identify a given number is right? And I can specify I'm using mermaid charts and give me the code block. So this line is just so that I can easily copy it. and have specified the information about what I want to do and what tool I'm using. So what ChatGPT does is it creates the code for me. I can just copy it, uh, bring it here, right? Paste it, and I can see the figure is ready, right? And then I can export it as PNG, SVG, or something else. But let's say you're using some other tool, right? So for example, let's say we're talking about this thing draw.io. So we can see draw.io has this feature called import from, right? Or open from. So basically, if we have a file which can be opened in draw.io, or which can be imported in draw.io, basically we can import a figure here. So what we can do is we can go back to ChatGPT, then say, can you check online and read documentation on what kind of files can be opened in draw.io. So basically, they have a native format called draw.io. So I can go back and say, so like, can you check online on how to create .draw or draw.io files, just like using draw.io on desktop app, whatever. So can you create a file explaining how to identify a given number is prime, right? So it is going to think through this because this is not a straightforward problem. And generally, it also has issues sometimes. So we have to go back to ChatGPT and explain, hey, I'm facing this issue. Then it will basically fix this file and then give it back to us in case that happens. So we'll just give it a shot to see if it works. So now it is writing bunch of code for me. Right, so all set, I have made a draw.io diagram explaining step-by-step process. So let's see whether we are able to open this. So we have got this file. So I'll just go open from device, go to downloads, open it. So all changes will be lost, discard. And I have a figure here. So like this is one way we can use it. So another thing that we can do is also create it in LaTeX. And LaTeX is generally a format which is is like accepted by most journals. So let's look at LaTeX online viewers to see if we have. So we can see we have overleaf, which can help us view this. But I think we'll have to sign in. So let's see if we can find something else. Yeah, Heroku app is also another LaTeX viewer. So I can go back to ChatGPT and say, so it's not just like this is only one example. You can go in extreme details. This is my framework. This is how I want figure to look like. All of those details you can put in here, right? So again, I will explain exactly what I'm trying to do. So I will go back. I am using Heroku app.com as my latex viewer. Can you create a latex diagram of to identify a given number is prime? Give me the code in a code block, right? And give me the full code. So, and again, these are just the three tools which I know of. But if you are using some other tool to create these kind of figures, basically, I'm sure it will
Sir,
have some documentation around it, which you can basically give to ChatGPT.
hello, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir,
no problem.
sir, we can use star UML also instead of draw.io
Yes, definitely, sir.
for creating a data flow diagram, ERLD diagram.
Yes, definitely, sir. So it depends, like which figure you're using. Generally, I've seen, all of them seem to work pretty good. And if that is not the case, then what we can do is basically, they, obviously, every app has a documentation these days, right? So we can provide access to the documentation, and it can go online and look for it, and then basically it can implement things from it.
Actually, such type
Excuse
of
me, sir.
diagram I used in last semester, sir.
Okay, sir, that's great to hear.
Sir, can we use any AI for full stack development or student projects? If it is okay, what are the best tools available, sir?
So, ma'am, there are a couple of them. So, for example, if you want to do full stack development, the basic one would be Perplexity, right? So, Perplexity is basically you just explain what product, what software product you're trying to build, right? And then it will build that for you. So, like we saw the example yesterday, we were trying to create a physics simulator in Perplexity, so it can do that for us. ChatGPT does it in a limited capacity. So in ChatGPT, basically, if you tell it to create, one page web app um, in Canva. So anything you do, if this things is there, you can say, I want to create a one page web app in Canva. So it will create at least the website level, which would be very basic one. If you want to go in a little more detail that there is something which is running on the server, there's something which is rendering it on the website, and it needs like 4 or 5 different files, then I would say go for Perplexity, right? Other than this, there are a couple of other tools. So for example, there is a tool called Jules. It is from Google, right? So it becomes slightly advanced. So, but this can do again far more things. How this tool works is basically we connect it to whatever code we have in GitHub, and it takes the code from there, and then we can ask it to make changes, and then it is going to save the code back to GitHub, and then we can download from there. So Jules can do full-fledged full stack development.
Sir,
But Perplexity and ChatGPT are also good options. Yes,
sir,
sir.
sir, for
Yes,
a
sir.
sir, for a project capstone, something is there, na, sir? Capstone projects.
Yes, sir.
For what that purpose we can use, sir?
So all of them work in a pretty similar manner. That if you, but the thing is, these tools, which are mainly for developing software, if we are not very familiar with software development principles and at least know a little bit about it, then the issue is it might make mistakes and we might not be able to solve it. But to answer a question, the capstone or you're using something like Replex, all of them do pretty much the same thing. What they will do is they will create a code for multiple files, right? And they might even run the web application and show for you. But they will do the entire development if we're able to provide provide all the necessary information. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Yes, sir. I got it.
Yes. So to answer the question about Mermaid and Draw.io, so Draw.io is completely free, right? And it's an industry standard when we talk about creating figures to explain, logic flows and other things. Mermaid is again a freemium model. So generally they have a paid version, right? We can see Chart Pro, but the features that they have in that is like AI generated. We can change colors and all. If you want to create simple diagrams like this, it is more than good enough. But if you're looking for a full-fledged app to create diagrams, then there are some paid features which we don't have access to. Right? If you want to look at the pricing also, like what is the difference? So So if we see, only thing is like, hey, diagrams, AI diagrams, presentations, whiteboard, version control plugin. We have everything. Only thing is when we go for Pro, we get unlimited of everything. But I would say that if we are using AI to generate code like this, most of the time it is just like, we're generating code, then to generate the figure, and then we can go to the next file. So for that case, Mermaid basically does a good job. It's great. So I think we can move on further, right? So next, what I want to cover is some of the tools which I personally find quite helpful when I'm doing, my research or trying to find knowledge on a subject that I'm new on, right? So we are going to look at Google Scholar, Semantic Scholar, and Perplexity Deep Research. And I'm sure you are familiar with Google Scholar and Semantic Scholar, but they have certain AI features which you might not be aware of. So that's what I wanted to share. And also a couple of other tools which are pretty similar to what these tools offer. So the thing about Google Scholar is Google Scholar, I would say, is the biggest library of research papers online, right? It is by Google. It's a very reliable source, and it is just like a search engine, right? You can ask anything. So for example, attention is all you need. The same paper we were looking at yesterday. So we get that paper, right? We can go and get more information about this paper, right? We can also go and read the PDF if it's available online. But there are a couple of other things that I want to share here. So we can see at the bottom, we have this option called Create Alert. So if you are in a niche field, or you're basically want to keep tabs on a particular keyword, so to say. So what you can do is you can set alerts on Google Scholar. So what it will do is, weekly or monthly, whenever there are new research papers in this particular field, it will send it to you as an email digest, right? Which is quite useful. So I think I recently got an email digest. So generally I follow generative AI as a tool. So as you can see, this one which came today, it has information on all the new generative AI papers that it came across recently, right? And it is pretty up to date. So if you want to create like your own feed of the new research papers in your particular domain or particular subject, basically it can come quite handy, right? So if you want to see whether like how frequently I'm getting these emails. So as you can see, September 1, September 2nd. So almost one every day or like one every other day, at least two or three times in a week, right? So as and when this gets updated, I get a alert about it. So this is one feature which you can definitely leverage, right? The other one is if you have not already created a profile on Google Scholar, I would highly encourage you to go and do this, right? Because if you have any research papers, it will be linked to your when you come across any research paper, what you can also do is you can save them, right? So when you save them, you're creating your own library of research papers, which becomes very easy for you to use later on. And I would suggest get in the habit of doing this on your platform of choice, because how these tools are evolving is they are going to get AI features if they don't already have it. So later on, basically, it can just go to the papers that you have saved and give you much more personalized results, right? So even when you're saving, what you can do is you can save them under different titles. So you can have a reading list like I did, or you can create like one for each topic, and you can keep keeping research papers in it. So this is like the another feature. Another key feature that I really like about them is this advanced search. So If you want any specific field, if you're looking for any specific author, it is very easy to find papers related to them. And if you go to settings, right, we have these browser extensions. So these browser extensions, they provide two browser extensions. One is called Scholar PDF Reader, and another one is called Google Scholar Button, right? So if you want to download it, you will need Chrome browser. And what you can do is you can go to Scholar PDF Reader, Chrome plugin, and basically you can do add to Chrome. I have already added it, but if you have not already added it, you can go and add it to Chrome, and then it is going to show up like this. Similarly, the other one that we had is called Google Scholar Button. So if we search for Google Scholar Button, so this is the another plugin that they have. So once you add it to Chrome, it will appear here. If it is not appearing here, most probably it is in this menu, and you can basically pin them if you want them to appear here. And what these do is, for example, let me open a research paper. So since I already have this plugin installed, what we can see is on the left-hand side, I'm getting an AI generated summary of this paper. So it talks about, what do they talk about in introduction, what do they talk about in background, model architecture, anything. So rather than me having to go and read this entire 15-page of paper, I can skim through it just using the AI generated content that they have created from this research paper. And if I want to go to any specific point, basically it will tell me exactly where did it get this information from this research paper. So in the initial phase of your research, when you are just skimming through the research papers to find out whether it's relevant for you or not, I feel this comes really in handy, right? Another feature that they have is you can click on these links and basically it will show you the information about the research paper right then and there, right? You can go, you can see where it's coming from, you can see references, you can again save it, cite it, right? Understand how do you go about citing it. Everything comes out of the box. Another thing that you can do using this plugins is, for example, if I just select this citation, right? Let me just copy it as well. Go to Scholar, and then it pastes it. So it finds out that paper and I have access to it. And it need not be a PDF which you've opened online. If you have like any PDF that you have on your laptop or your machine itself, just open it in the browser. And if you have these two plugins, basically you will have access to all of these different fields, right? So it makes research quite easy, and basically finding things becomes quite easy using this. So this is Google Scholar, and I would say please do try it out, because we are going. So because it also matters that what domain we are in, what topic we are doing a research in, how niche that field is, to see whether these tools work for you or not. So another good thing about Google Scholar being in Google's ecosystem is that when we use Gemini has direct access to Google Scholar. So for example, let's give it a topic that we want to get more information on, right? So let's say I want to understand carbon footprint of running and training LLMs like GPT-4 and GPT-5. Can you do research using published papers only, right? And then what I can do is I can go to tools and select deep research. right? So it's like it's a very simple prompt. Again, ideally you should make it as detailed as possible for your particular topic. I'm giving a very simple example. I want to understand carbon footprint of running and training LLMs like GPT-4 and GPT-5. Can you do research using published academic papers only? And when I select deep research, so how it will work is, first it will create a research plan for me that, hey, this is what I'm going to do step by step. Just have a look at this and tell me whether, it is something which is okay or not. So it's like find published academic papers that measure or estimate the carbon footprint for training large language models, investigate academic papers that propose methodologies, research academic literatures that analyze energy efficiency. Great, right? If I want to make any changes, I can say edit plan, and I can say, contextualize it to India, or, contextualize it for the LLM models which have come out in last 2 years, or whatever changes I want to make here. And then I can click on start research. So now what will happen is it will go through these steps one by one, and after some time, it is going to create a detailed response for me, right? And the reason I'm using Gemini for this is not ChatGPT is because, like I said, Google, through Google Scholar, has the biggest library of research papers online. And since Gemini is also owned by Google, there is a direct connection between Google Scholar and Gemini, right? So we can leverage that to our advantage. So it will take some time. Maybe we'll come back to it later. It will take around 15 to 20 minutes for it to finish everything, right? So we'll let it run. But similar to this deep research, another thing that we can do is we can also use something like Perplexity, right? So yesterday we were talking about the deep research feature, which Perplexity also gives. So I'll use the same prompt. And what I will do is in Perplexity, like the ma'am had asked question that, generally these LLMs can pick up any content from online. But in Perplexity, we have an option where we can explicitly say that, please only look at research or academic papers, right? Don't look at just the website or social media. So this way, we can limit Perplexity to use the material which only comes under the academic category, right? And again, when we run this is going to take some time, right? So it says, 3 minutes left to gather sources and create a report. So it is going to do some research, do some search, right? So it's like carbon footprint, LM training, so on and so forth. And we can see that, all the sources that it is using right now, all of them are research papers. None of them are website links, right? So initially, it went, explored all the different research papers it could find in this domain. Maybe it needed some more information, so it went online to understand those concepts. Like, for example, GPT-4 training, carbon emission, academic studies, so on and so forth. But this research is going to be limited only to the academic research. So that is the advantage of Perplexity. And like I was mentioning yesterday, we can use this as a premium tool, and we can use it like a workhorse to do these kind of reports. And once it is ready, we can see the quality of the report that it generates, right? We can check Gemini as well. So Gemini is still working on it. And we can see it has done quite a thorough research. It is not just like it has done one search, it has done multiple searches on multiple topics, which are related to what we're trying to get more information on. So we'll wait for it, let this thing and Perplexity get over, and then we can move forward. And I would say, please try it out yourself as well. Like I said, it is very specific to what field you are in. For some fields, it might work wonderfully well. For others, it might not be. So we'll have to explore some other tools for it. So please do try it out and see what kind of results you get. So our research is over. We can see it looked at around 118 sources. And most of these are going to be research papers. And any link that it has found online, they would be either talking about these research papers or talking about the concepts which are discussed in these research paper, right? So this generally Perplexity gives very good responses, but obviously we should vet it before we are basically sending it out, even to like somebody else, or whether we are using it in our own research. So as we can see, overview carbon footprint of training, and it has provided me basically citations for where all this data is coming from, right, everywhere. So I can even go click on it and see what these things talk about. And it has done a pretty good job. Another advantage of doing your research in this manner is that you can ask follow-up questions. So now basically Perplexity has gone and looked at a lot of data on this particular topic, right? So if you want to ask any follow-up question, the kind of responses that we are going to get are going to be much more accurate. And we can do a lot of things with it. So for example, let's say, can you tell me how much electricity does ChatGPT use based on your research in terms of city like Bangalore? Right. So this is not a data that you can find online just like that. It is a number that you have to basically think through and come up with, right? So ChatGPT's annual electricity use is comparable to major Indian city like Bangalore. Recent peer-reviewed research shows that as of 2024, serving ChatGPT at scale of 700 billion queries per day, similar to public estimate of OpenAI usage, consumes roughly as much electricity in a year as 35,000 average US homes, right? So it consumes a lot of electricity, as you can say. So close to 8% of Bangalore's entire annual electricity use is something what ChatGPT uses. And we were able to get this response pretty good because Perplexity had done an initial research on this topic, right? And then it went and found some more sources like, okay, how much electricity does Bangalore use? How do you calculate electricity for ChatGPT? Has there been any new research on it? And then basically it can give answers. So even if you're trying to basically arrive at an answer or, arrive at an estimate, and you have a thought process around it, so you can also basically model it as a conversation. So here it's like basically I asked it, what is the carbon footprint? Can you do a research? And then I can ask follow-up questions on it. So Gemini is still working on it. I think it is going to take slightly longer. Let me just refresh it and see. Yeah, it's still working on it. Looks like it is finished. So as we can see, again, it has created a detailed response for us, and we can directly export it to our Google Drive. And this is how long? How many pages? So this is around 15 pages long, this one response. And this is a detailed research on carbon footprint, and it has provided citations everywhere. And if you want to look at all of these research papers, they come as citations in the end, right? And again, if we have any more follow-up questions, since this knowledge already exists in this chat window, we can ask more questions, and based on the entire research that Gemini has done for us, it can answer those questions for us. And again, if you want to go one step further, if you want to create like infographics, quiz, or audio overview on this particular topic, you can create all of them. And I'm using the free version here. I'm not using the paid version of Gemini, right? So you can do all of those things. And the initial phase of the research, where you're just skimming through the research papers, trying to understand what are different things happening in this area right now, I feel it does a very good job for us to get started on the right foot. Okay. The next tool is Semantic Scholar. If you're not already familiar with it, Semantic Scholar is, I would say, another quite extensive library online. And the good thing about Semantic Scholar is that it is open source, right? And a lot of AI tools are built on top of Semantic Scholar using their APIs. And they have a couple of very good AI features that I want to talk about. So the first one is if you are signed in, again, you can look at research papers, like attention is all you need. So let's click on it and go to this particular website, right? So the first thing it does is it gives us this TLDR, which is short for too long, didn't read. So this is a summary of the entire paper, right, which is AI generated. Another thing that we have is this box on the right hand side. So this is basically we can ask any question related to this research paper, right? So first I'll click on this do not publish my input data, and then I'll ask the key findings of this paper. So maybe you're just interested in, what was the research methodology they used, what were the final insights they generated, or, basically what are the shortcomings of this paper, or what are the research gaps that are there in this paper. You can ask all those kind of questions, and then it will answer those questions based on the research paper. So as we can see, what are the key findings of the research paper? It has given me two answers. So the key findings of the research paper include the introduction of transformer model architecture based solely on attention mechanism. And then I can read them and get a good idea about or a good response for the question that I had, right, without reading the entire research paper myself. It also provides me with supporting statements, right? Where did they get this information from? And if I want, I can go and click on view in PDF, and then it will show me that, hey, where did this come from? So if I click on it, this information is here. If I click on it, this information is coming from here. So I can find the right part of the research paper which might be relevant for me. Right, so you can ask any question, and like I said, this one is again, it's free of cost, right? So do check it out, these two platforms. I would say Gemini and Semantic Scholar, both of them are industry standards now. Most of the new apps which are coming up, which are AI powered, generally they use the Semantic Scholars database. Getting access to Google Scholar is not that easy for most companies. So generally, Gemini has that advantage over other companies that they can use Google Scholar's data. And another feature that is really good from them is they have something similar to what we saw that Google was doing to PDFs. So let me just find that paper again. So here we can see this option called PDF Semantic Scholar, right? So when we click on it, it opens a window which is similar to what Google Scholar was doing. So we can like highlight things, select things, all of those basic things. We can cite, get it in the right format. We can add it to the library, right? We can get a little more information about these papers, so on and so forth. We can download the paper, navigate inside the paper, get the table of content, all the basic things. But these two features, the skimming assistant and the citation cards, these are the AI-powered features that they have introduced recently. So what skimming assistant does is, rather than you again going through the entire paper, it highlights all the key parts for us, right? So it's like, what is the goal? What are the results? What is the method used? Again, everything is very easy for us to access. And we can click on them and go to the relevant part if you want more information. So when we have to go through 100 of papers and we're looking for something specific, I think this kind of workflow really helps us out, right? Similarly, we have citation cards. So if you see citations here, so when I disable it, sorry. So when I disable it, so we can see there is a citation here, number 30. When I click on citations, this becomes a hyperlink. It becomes blue in color, right? So it becomes blue in color. As you can see, it's black, nothing happens. changes to blue, and then when I click on it, basically it tells me what is the citation this particular number is referring to, and it also gives me this TLDR, so I can get a summary of the research paper right here. And if it's relevant, I can do a deep dive in it later, right? Again, I can add it to my library to review it later, get citation if I want, and if I want to set alerts, similar to how I could do it in Google Scholar, I can do all of those things here as well, right? So I hope you find these two features quite useful, both for Google Scholar and Semantic Reader. So for Semantic Reader, you don't have to download anything. It works within the website. You might have to create a login, but that is free. And I would encourage you to do that because you can save the research papers you're interested in. You can do some more analysis, and I'm sure they're going to introduce more AI features, which would be quite useful. So similar to that in Google Scholar, we have these two plugins which we can put in Chrome. And even if you have a research paper downloaded, basically Google Scholar can even parse them and create these kind of skimmable summaries and follow the references and these kind of things pretty easily. And again, after that, we can leverage LLMs to do literature review, the initial literature review for us, right? And if we have any particular format that we want it in, or if we want it in particular tone, if we want a particular point of view from which we want to look at these research papers, all of those things can be done, right? And they do pretty good job, right? It's like if I had to do the same amount of research to get the same kind of content, it would have at least taken me 2 to 3 days of dedicated work, right? It's like just going through 118 sources, just reading it would have taken me weeks, like if I want to do an in-depth dive. So it can get us started pretty quickly, right? Give us a direction very quickly. Basically, give us a collection of research papers which might be helpful for us pretty quickly, right? So that is where we can use these tools in the initial phase of our research. Like it is not just that we have to use AI for research writing, but when we are getting started on a particular research topic, these tools can really help us out. Please let me know if you have any questions, or we can move on to a couple of other tools that I have for today. Okay, so there are a few questions. Let me just go through them. So which is better between Google Scholar and ResearchGate for searching the research paper? I would say ResearchGate and Google Scholar, both of them are pretty good. But I think ResearchGate, you might not find articles on all the different domains. So that's why it makes sense to basically try it out, all these different tools, whether it's Google Scholar, whether it's ResearchGate or Semantic Scholar, right? And see which one is good for your domain. Generally, I've seen Google Scholar does a very good job. It does a phenomenally good job for all the domains. ResearchGate, I have not explored much, but from my understanding and from what I have heard, ResearchGate does a good job when your college has like a lot of subscriptions and you might want some papers which are not freely available online, right? So that's where the ResearchGate comes in play. Again, Semantic Scholar, not as powerful as Google Scholar, or I would say not even maybe as powerful as ResearchGate, but it gets the job done, right? Okay.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. So, sir, I have my account on Google Scholar, but sir, it needs to verify. When we have to add our institution ID.
Yes, sir.
But at that case, our college don't have edu.in. We have simple Gmail account. So, sir, how we can be visible at that platform for all?
Sir, I'll have to explore it. I have not really explored it, but if I find something, I'll share it with the ma'am who can share it with you. But as of right now, I have not explored it.
Right.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Okay. So my contact details and email ID, it is there in the deck. I'll share the decks after today's session, so you can have those details. So for using free AI generated PPTs, like the examples I showed you yesterday, now LLMs are able to create very good PPTs, right? Like we saw Jen Spark and Manas were creating PPTs yesterday. The limitation is they can only create one PPT in a day in the free tiers, but I have seen that they are the best access to Microsoft's Office 365 now. They are able to create some pretty good PPTs as well, right? So talking about Napkin AI, yes, Napkin.ai can create very good infographics, but I would say the kind of infographics that they create are a little fancy. So we can use them in presentations, but can we really use them in the research paper? That again depends on the research paper's guidelines. So we'll need to check on them, right? Okay, thank you, sir. So that this is some of the tools. And so continuing forward, the other tools that I want to discuss. Okay. So when we were on the Semantic Scholar, we saw that, basically this AI powered feature is powered by something called AI2, right? So AI2 is basically a research institute. It is called Allen's Institute for Artificial Intelligence, right? So they have some very good tools. So let me first show you their website. So it was created by co-founder of Microsoft, right, Allen. So that's why it's called Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, right? Whatever they do is mainly in the open source domain, right? They specifically build things for research community, and they have some couple of AI models as well as some chatbots which they have specifically built for research. So do check them out. So one of the products that they have is called Astra, right? So Astra works similar to how Google's deep research and Perplexity's deep research work. So again, it will take a long time for me to generate this response. So I'll show the one which I've already generated. So you can find papers and you can summarize literature both in this. So the URL is astra.allen.ai/chat. And when we want to find papers, this is what it looks like. So I asked that, hey, impact of social media on mental health. That was the question that I had asked. Again, it came up with a plan, right? This is how I interpret your request. Look for a set of papers, ... social media use, mental health. And then it went and did the research. Found 75 relevant papers for me, right? And then I can go through them and basically see what this research paper talk about. So if I am just interested in looking for relevant research papers, I think this Astra chat is very good option. And what I really like about them is they have this card with each and every search result, which shows whether it's perfectly relevant or it is like a little bit relevant or what. So if you go down, so most of these are like perfectly relevant. When we go down, it looks like here all of them are perfectly relevant citations. One of them is just relevant. So let's look at this. So harnessing social media and mental health practice in Kenya community case study. The paper discusses the use of social media platform to promote mental health and increasing linkage to social care in Kenya. So it is about how can we use social media for mental health, right? So not exactly what I was looking for, but it might still be relevant. So it has given me those research as well. And again, I can go look further and see like what these research papers are. I can sort them based on different things like relevance, year, title, based on citations, year, venue, where it was published, right? Who are the authors? So it becomes quite easy for me to find research papers that might be really useful for us. Another thing that they do is they also can help us summarize literature. So again, so in summarized literature, I had given this thing called impact of social media on mental health. So it gave me kind of like a report. But the good thing about these reports is that I can go and expand each of them. And depending on what feature I'm expanding, it is going to do a deep dive on that particular subtopic, and it is going to give me all the relevant citations as well, right? And like I said, this Allen Institute is just focused on how can we make research better. They don't have a commercial goal. So all the products generally they create are open source. They have also created some AI models which are open source and people can use for their own researches. So it's something which is worth looking into. And at least this, the Astra chat feature that they have, I would say this is one of the best free tools that you can find for literature review, right? You can also see they have also provided literature comparison table, like what do they focus on, what is the methodology, what is the population examined. And the good part of it is it being a chat is, for example, if you're looking for something specific, for example, you also want a column for hypothesis and what were the final findings and all, you can say it in the chat. Can you also add a column for these things? And it'll go do the research, add those columns, and you can basically get it in a format that basically you want, right? So it can be custom made for you. Again, all the citations are easily available to us. And this tool is just designed for research. So please do explore it out if you have not already and see how it works for you. Right. And like I said, it is free. There is no limitations on like how much you can use or, just one chat a day and things like that. You can use it extensively. And do explore them. They are doing pretty good things. So for example, they are building an agent, right? So meet Astra, an agentic ecosystem that advances scientific discovery. So this is going to be kind of like a co-researcher, AI-powered co-researcher that you can give it any task that you might want to gather more data on, and it can like run with it, take around 3 hours, 4 hours to do the research for you and give you the necessary information. So it's something worth keeping an eye on. So this is a competitor to a tool that Google has built, which is still in development called Google Co-Scientist. Again, this is not available for public to use as of right now. You can see it was launched in Feb of 2025, so it's pretty new. And even what they do is basically they have created this AI agent which can create its own hypothesis, right? So so it's like scientist tells the AI to do something. It gives itself a research goal. It creates a plan for it, right? And then it basically does the entire process, validates its own hypothesis, creates new hypothesis, validates them, and then basically creates content for you, right? So I would say this is something that we should definitely keep an eye on because they are doing some incredible things which generally news don't capture because this is such a niche market, right? And the initial feedback for Google Copilot or Google Co-Scientist has been amazing. People are saying that the kind of things it can do, a human researcher would take around 6 to 7 months to complete the same task, right? And these are like niche research which are happening at the cutting edge frontiers, right? And basically they're using AI to expedite that process. So it's a good idea to keep an eye out on this. Google Co-Scientist is not available to us to use right now, but Allen's Astra is. So do start using it so that when these tools become much more complicated, you also basically your ability to use these tools also grow along with it, right? If you basically come back to these tools after 5 years or like even 2 years, right, they will look very different and they're going to look a lot more complicated. But right now they're pretty similar. So it's like when I first saw this tool, they only had the search feature. Now they have added a summary feature. Little while later, they might add a new feature, right, which will come really in handy. So better to start using these tools as of right now, right? Okay, a little bit of background noise. Okay. Um, So these are some of the tools which basically have like a chat attached to it, like Gemini, Perplexity, and even Astra. Do try them out. Other than that, there are some niche products which have come up quite recently, and they're like some new tools come up almost every week. Two of the tools which I'm using extensively right now are basically Elicit and something called as Consensus. Again, these are tools that are used in the initial phase of the research when you're trying to go through a lot of different research papers. So one of the good things about this is when we go to Elicit, we can tell it what we are looking for, right? So let's say I'm looking for social media impact on mental health of the teenagers. So the very first thing that this tool does is it helps us basically make our research question much better, right? So it is like, do you want your research question to be more specific, more measurement driven, or more intervention driven, right? So when I create on specificity, you can see it changes my research question, right? So my research question was social media impact of mental health in teenagers. I think this should be on mental health in teenagers. So it's going to evaluate my question and then give me some recommendations so I can see. So what is the relationship between daily social media use, duration, and depressive symptoms among teenagers aged 13 to 17? How do different social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat different, differentially impact mental health outcomes in teenagers? Right? What specific mental health indicators like anxiety level, social media, self-esteem, social isolation are more strongly correlated with social media engagement in teenagers? So all of these three research questions are similar to the question that I have asked, but they are much more specific, right? And generally, when our questions are more specific, AI is able to match us to more relevant papers, right? And if we see, there are three very different things actually, if we see, right? And I think my idea was more around this: how do different social media platforms differently impact mental health outcomes in teenagers? So I'll go with this option, right? If I want, I can make any further changes if I want to, and then I can click next. And what Elicit does is it is going to go through all the research papers, right? In the free version, we're limited to just the top 4, right? If we have premium version, it can be top 6 or a few more. But like I said, for the initial research, I think getting the top research papers is also very helpful, right? So it says it gives me a summary of what the top 4 searches told it to, right? Just like the search examined different impacts of social media platform, right? Dot dot dot, and negative impact of social media reactions, supports these findings on YouTubers use have poor mental health outcomes, while Instagram and Snapchat users demonstrate high well-being. So they have found all the relevant research for me, and they have put it in a table format. So the first one is the paper, the second one is the abstract. But the good thing about this particular tool is I can choose what other columns to add, right? So maybe I am just interested in, summary of introduction, or maybe I'm interested on, what were the dependent variables, measured variables, independent variables. What was the data set used, right? Who are funding these research papers? What was the algorithm they used, right? What was participants' age? Things like that. So if I go and let's say participant age, it is going to go read all these 4 research papers, find the relevant information for me, and then provide that information for me, right? So it says, it is 18 to 25 was the eligibility criteria. Mean age was 24 years old in 2016, 2017. Then the standard deviation was this, and the mean age was 15.1, right? So it is not mentioned. So it becomes very easy for me to see which research papers are really useful, right? So again, let's say another one that I'll add is region to see generally which area are they coming on. So I can add 2 custom columns in the free version. So we can see this is in United States, United Kingdom, United States, so on and so forth. And then what I can do further is I can go down and add steps to this process, right? Extract data from uploaded papers, ask a new question or find papers, get a list of concepts. So I'll click on get a list of concepts, right? So it's asking me, what kind of concepts are you looking for from these research papers? So it's like concepts related to social media that impact mental health. Right? So we can see what are the concepts: social comparison, fear of missing out, cyberbullying, addiction to social media, echo chambers, body image issues, disruption, validation seeking, isolation and loneliness, information overload. All of these, all of these seems pretty valid, but all of them are coming from language models or AI's own understanding, right? These are not coming from research papers. So next, what it is going to do is it's going to try to find these concepts in research paper or see if any other concepts related to what I have provided is discussed, and it is going to add them to this list. If I had just given this question to ChatGPT, the first step is all I would have got. But now I can see that it has gone through different research paper. It says that, hey, for echo chambers, this paper talks about it. Cyberbullying, this paper talks about it. For fear of missing out, these are the papers that talk about it, right? Social media privacy concerns, this is the paper that talks about it. So it becomes very easy for me to find the research paper that is like directly relevant to what I'm interested in. And similarly, if I want extract data from ask a new question and find papers, so all of those things I can do, right? So concepts, it has also come up with sub-concepts. And now all the sources are there, right, of what is mentioned in which paper about this particular thing. So I feel it is pretty, I feel like at times it is pretty useful for me. So it's like, I can do a deep dive into the literature and get to those 5 to 10 research papers that might be really helpful for me. And I think these are the areas where, we should generally, where we have seen that, AI plays a crucial part, like any kind of grunt work or any kind of, what the work that basically, we are going through 200 research papers just to come up with 10 research papers that might be really valid for us, right? Or we have to look at a lot of data to arrive at those 5 to 6 insights that would be really relevant for us. That is where AI really excels, right? And that is how they have built these tools. So do try this one out. I think Illicit team has done a very good job when it comes to research. So talk about how much does it cost, right? So plus cost around $12 per month, right? And the limitations are systematic review workflow that is only available in $42 one. Research across more than 125 million papers, that is common for all of them. Research reports we can generate in the free version. This is where the differences come in, right? So when we summarize, in the free version, we get summary of only the top 4 papers. In the other ones, we can get 8 papers, right? Unlimited chat for up to 4 sources, and we can extract data for 20 papers per month, right? Whereas in the other ones, we can go much higher. And when I showed you that, we can add columns. So in the free version, we can add only 2 columns, but in the other versions, paid versions, we can add a lot more, right? So generally, the differences are not significant. I would say the tool is good enough to get started, and if you think you're getting a lot of value from it, I think then it makes sense to decide whether you should go for a premium version or not, right? But I think the Illicit is a good tool even when it's free, and it does a good job. It can help you go through like a lot of research very easily or find the research papers that would be really relevant to you. Another tool that I came across and I have been using extensively is this tool called as Consensus. And as the name suggests, generally what it does is basically you ask it a question and it is going to tell you that, in the research community, generally what is the consensus around it, right? So it's better to frame your frame your input as a question so that, it can be a yes and no question. So do frequent social media use impact social media health in teenagers? So this is what we do. We click on try consensus, and then we'll say, right? And then we have filter that we can choose, exclude preprints, ask paper, open access, all the features are available to us. We can even choose like how far back we want to go, right? And then we can click next. So as you can see, the first thing that it has mentioned is that, it has looked at 10 research papers, and then 70% of the research papers say that, social media use impacts mental health, whereas 3 of them say it's a mixed, and none of them say that, that it, and if I want, I can go and read what it is talking about. Right? The research consistently shows that social media use is associated with mental health challenges in teenagers who experience addiction like behavior, cyberbullying, and all the relevant papers are accessible to me. Right. However, the overall association are often described as weak or inconsistent. And then it also provides me social media like papers which give like a mixed review that it's neither yes neither no. And this is another way that I can either find like a research paper which is like an which is basically contradicts my findings, right? Or I can find research papers which confirm my findings. And one of the things that I really like about this platform is the how they are presenting each and every search result. So depending on what kind of question I asked and what kind of research papers it is showing, so it gives me like some very good insights, right? So it's like what was the what was the method used, what was the outcome, what was the result, and it also has these very useful tags, right? That what kind of paper is this. So this is a systematic review paper. It is highly cited, right? And then I can go and look at other parameters in this. It's an umbrella review. Outcome is adolescent mental health. Most review found weak or inconsistency between social media and mental health. So again, I can find the right research paper for me pretty easily using tools like this, right? And these are like, I'm just using the free version. I don't have paid version for any of them. And I feel they do a very good job. And these tools are usable. We can rely on the results that they provide. But obviously, these tools are for the initial research. After finding the right papers, obviously, it is advisable that we do a deep dive in them. And only after that should we include them in our research, right? And not just rely on the output that we're getting from this AI. These AIs are very good just for the initial screening process or arriving at the research paper. That would be really useful for us, right? Um, so I think on this front, so this is another thing that we have. Please let me know like if there are any questions or anything specific to the AI in research that you would like to know more, or we can proceed further.
Sir, is there any tool in which we can magnify image in high resolution or high DPI?
So, sir, there are a couple of tools which can help us do that. So, I mean, you can just do a basic search. Generally, I use Canva for it. So, Canva does a good job, but they have a paid feature. So, these tools are called AI image upscaling. So,
Sir, Canva, can we use the Canva image in the scientific writing?
so, sir, generally, like I was mentioning, research papers do not want you to submit AI generated images. So it is like, if it is like a small upscale, maybe you can still use it, but ideally you should not like expand it a lot, right?
Right, sir.
Yeah.
But though if we can get some ideas from that, sir, by what adding our data, so if some image will be generated and then by the other that apps, just like Origin we are using,
Mhm.
that we get good image, magnified image. So in that way, uh, can have such type of, if we develop in origin and then
So,
we
so
get that extracted
yes.
image in a high magnification.
So, sir, I have a question here. So, are we talking about images as in images which come out of a camera, or are we talking about figures and diagrams here?
Sir, I'm talking about figures and diagrams. If we are extracted that in JPG form from the
Uh-huh.
origin software,
Uh-huh.
and then uh, sometimes what happens, sir, its DPI get lesser.
Mhm.
So at that time, how we can then magnify or increase its DPI value?
So, sir, if it's a figure or a diagram which is created using another software, then you can upscale using tools like Canva. I don't think you will have any research for any issue with research writing. Generally, the issue comes when we're using images which have come out of camera and then we're upscaling them or modifying them using AI.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. So Canva does a good job. If you have access to Canva, I think you can use it. They have, I would say, they have the best upscaling that I have seen recently. But these free softwares also do a good job. Or and if you are not particular about the original figure, another thing that you can do is you can upload the figure in ChatGPT or Gemini and ask it to create a new figure using like draw.io or mermaid or something else. So it can recreate the same figure using another tool. If that is something you would also like to explore.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? So many of the papers are not available. They only show abstract. I think that is mainly because these are closed papers, right? Basically, you have to get a subscription to read them. So either you can get them through college, but I think you will not be able to find them online, right? Because they are not meant to be online by design. Manually, so in ResearchGate or Google Scholar, can we add papers manually? I'm not really sure, sir, whether we can do that. I know on Archive we can add once our profile is verified. So that might be a better way because once it is on Archive, it should ideally also show up on Google Scholar and ResearchGate. Is there any AI that could transcribe video and audio? So there are a couple of AIs which can help you transcribe video and audio. So many of them are paid, right? But one of the things that I do nowadays to transcribe my video, one is you can upload your video to YouTube, right, and make it private. So what happens is when we upload our video to YouTube, it automatically transcribes them, right? If you have an audio, what you can also do is upload that audio on Google's Notebook LM. So what it does is when you upload an audio to Google's Notebook LM, it transcribes it everything and gives you the transcript, right? So that is also something that we can explore. Okay.
सर जो स्पेशली वीडियो डिस्प्ले होता है उसके नीचे जो सबटाइटल्स होते हैं
जी
अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस में हम देखते हैं तो वो किस प्रकार किया जाता है
सो सर उसके लिए जब हम गूगल में अपलोड करते हैं तो डायरेक्टली हो जाता है बट एक और टूल है अगर वो स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट है तो वी कैन सर्च फॉर अडोबी वीडियो ट्रांसक्रिप्शन आई थिंक right. So this is, they have a free tool as well. Let me quickly see. Adobe free subtitle generator, right? So this add captions to your video online. This does a very good job. तो आप इस पे अपना वीडियो अपलोड कर सकते हैं और फिर ये 2-3 ऑप्शन देगा तो वी कैन सी कि वीडियो पे ऐसे अपीयर हो जाता है तो सोशल मीडिया के लिए या फिर यूट्यूब के लिए दिस इज प्रीटी हैंडी. सो दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच वी
एक्चुअली डॉक्यूमेंट्री मेकिंग के लिए या जैसे उस रेफरेंस में भी हम ले सकते हैं
जी
एकेडमिक
सर.
डॉक्यूमेंट।
तो जी सर, सो अगर आपको कैप्शन अलग चाहिए, लाइक जैसे कि वीडियो में कैप्शन हार्ड कोडेड नहीं होना चाहिए बट वो ऐसा टेक्स्ट फाइल होना चाहिए, तो आई वुड से यूज गूगल यूट्यूब. बट अगर आपको वीडियो के ऊपर ही अगर सबटाइटल्स डालने हैं तो आप ये वाला टूल एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं. जस्ट सर्च फॉर ऐड कैप्शन टू वीडियो एडोबी. तो ये फ्री टूल है. जनरली दिस इज व्हाट आई यूज टू क्रिएट. जैसे हम रील्स पे और उस पे देखते हैं ना, रील्स पे या
राइट सर,
वीडियोस पे समटाइम्स हार्ड कोडेड आ जाता है नीचे सब, तो वो ये एडोबी एक्सप्रेस कर देता है. एंड ये फ्री है.
थैंक यू सर।
Yes, sir.
सर आप ब्रेक लेना चाहते हैं थोड़ी देर का?
मैम आई वाज लाइक जस्ट वंडरिंग, ये वाला सेशन खत्म कर देते हैं. आई थिंक 11:40 को वी कैन टेक अ ब्रेक.
या ओके.
ठीक है. तो अगर और कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो व्हाट आई विल डू इज,
सर मैंने कल आपसे पूछा भी था पीपीटी के
एक्सक्यूज मी सर.
यस मैम.
Sir, AI helps in sports in various way, but I ask you, how can AI help in yoga practitioners or yoga sadhaka?
मैम मोर स्पेसिफिकली व्हाट यू आर लुकिंग फॉर, आई विल नीड टू नो. मतलब कौन से एरिया में? अब जैसे योगा में इफ समबडी. यस मैम.
मैं स्पोर्ट्स में हूँ सर. स्पोर्ट्स में वेरियस तरीके से AI अपने को हेल्प कर सकता है, विकसित हो सकता है. पर एक योग प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए, करने वाले के लिए ये AI अभी नया है, तो वो किस तरीके से कारगर होगा या लाभदायक हो सकता है?
बिल्कुल मैम.
क्या
तो बिल्कुल मैम, लेट मी शो यू एन एग्जांपल. तो दिस इज नॉट जस्ट रेलेवेंट फॉर योगा बट एनीथिंग दैट वी वांट टू डू नाउ. So I hope you can see my screen. So one of the things which is good about these tools is they are very good mentors and very good coaches. तो अगर जैसे let's say मेरा प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है, right? So this is a very rough prompt जो मैंने इसको बताया है. So I'm just saying, I want to practice yoga, but I don't know where to start. Can you create a 3-week plan for a 3-week plan, 5 days a week, for 20 minutes every day? तो मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ करके, right? So it can create a very good plan for me, right? Let's say अगर मेरे को थोड़ा और डिटेल में जाना है, so I can even say, can you explain a little more about it? अगर जैसे मैं इसको बोलूँगा, so it can also find like tutorial videos for me, कैसे करना है, step by step instructions, और later on I can even say कि इसको एक book format में डाल दो या फिर website format में डाल दो. तो it can create a customized plan for me, right? तो योगा तो मुझे ही करना पड़ेगा, but what it can do is it can give me a very good direction कि how can I get started.
Thank you sir. Thank you very much.
And this is true for anything. So maybe you want to create a study plan, maybe you want to run a 5K, you want to run a marathon. So all of those things can be done using this.
Sure sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, how many percentage of AI plagiarism is allowed for research paper or an article?
Sir, so that again differs from journal to journal. For some journals it is 0%, some go up to 10 to 15%. But what I would say is please try to remove any AI generated content from your final output as much as possible. क्योंकि ये जो guidelines हैं, these can change in the future as well. And the thing is, जब वो future में होगा तो there is a high chance कि it might get retracted. So ideally, I would say don't put any AI generated content in research papers.
That is, sir, the linear journals allow up to the 50 to 20% total algorithm.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you use the AI tools, then it will be increased.
Sorry, sir, your voice got cut.
If you AI generated tools or any figures or any graphics, so its plagiarism can be increased. So there is a some major difficulties to using AI contents.
Yes, sir, definitely. Like you said, sir, 15% तक generally permit करते हैं, but these guidelines keep changing. तो मतलब we cannot say कि there is a fixed number for it. So we'll have to look into it, sir, case to case basis.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. सर एक सवाल था.
जी सर.
Hello, sir.
जी सर.
What percentage required for plagiarism for project writing?
Sir, is that for so is it for students or?
No, sir.
So
what? Hello.
Yes, sir.
What percentage is required for plagiarism?
So plagiarism, by plagiarism you mean AI generated content?
No, sir.
So plagiarism is a totally different topic, sir. Ideally, there should be 0% plagiarism in anything related to academics.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
सर
Yes, ma'am.
मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर कि एज अ टीचर आप हमको क्या सजेस्ट करेंगे कि हम कितना और किस तरह से एआई का प्रयोग करें जो
yes, ma'am.
भविष्य में से हमें कोई दिक्कत ना हो.
So मैम, so from a teaching perspective, दो चीजें हैं उसमें. एक तो ये है कि we can use AI to create अपना admin task आराम से कर सकते हैं, जैसे मैंने कल कुछ एग्जांपल्स दिए थे, राइट. सेकेंड चीज ये है जो हमारे कोर्स मटेरियल्स हम बनाते हैं उसमें काफ़ी हेल्प कर सकता है कि अगर हमारे पास इनिशियल कोर्स आउटलाइन है और या फिर हमारे को ऐसे कोर्स मटेरियल बनाना है, कोर्स आउटलाइन बनाना है, कोर्स प्लान बनाना है, स्लाइड्स बनाने हैं, तो वो सब चीज़ों में काफ़ी हेल्प कर सकता है. सो एक तो ये एस्पेक्ट है. अभी कुछ नए टूल्स आ रहे हैं जो आई वुड से अभी सही टाइम नहीं है यूज़ करने का, बट वेरी सून विल बी यूजिंग देम, जिससे हम इवैल्यूएशन भी कर पाएंगे और बेसिकली 1-to-1 अटेंशन भी दे पाएंगे स्टूडेंट्स को. और दूसरा ये है कि बेसिकली अभी स्टूडेंट्स भी बहुत एआई यूज़ कर रहे हैं, तो अभी भी हम जो असाइनमेंट्स दे रहे हैं दे आर प्रीटी आउटडेटेड. तो अभी एआई के कारण वी हैव टू स्टार्ट गिविंग न्यू काइंड ऑफ असाइनमेंट्स, जिसके कारण उनका क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, लॉजिकल रीजनिंग, टू टेस्ट देयर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, ये सब हो. बट एट द सेम टाइम वो सारा का सारा काम एआई नहीं कर पाए, राइट. तो अब जैसे कि मैंने एक एग्जांपल दिया था कि अगर हमारा सारा का सारा कोर्स मटेरियल हमारे पास है तो हम एक चैटबॉट बना सकते हैं जिससे स्टूडेंट्स अपने डाउट क्लियर कर सकते हैं. तो अभी हम ऐसे असाइनमेंट्स भी दे सकते हैं स्टूडेंट्स को कि इस चैटबॉट से बात करो, गेट योर डाउट्स क्लैरिफाइड, बट जो तुम रिपोर्ट लिखोगे वो खुद से लिखना पड़ेगा बेस्ड ऑन इंटरेक्शन विद दिस बॉट. सो वैसी चीज़ें हो रही हैं, तो मतलब मल्टीपल एरियाज में हेल्प करेगा. तो इट इज़ लाइक एडमिन में डेफिनेटली हेल्प कर सकता है, कोर्स कंटेंट क्रिएट करने में काफ़ी हेल्प करता है, स्पेशली जब हमारे को नए गाइडलाइंस आते हैं, वेदर इट्स यूजीसी गाइडलाइंस और सम अदर गाइडलाइंस. अगर हमको वो सब चीज़ें अपने कोर्स में इम्प्लीमेंट करनी है तो हम अपना कोर्स मटेरियल दे सकते हैं, वो गाइडलाइंस दे सकते हैं एआई को और बोल सकते हैं कि कैन यू मेक चेंजेस टू दिस कोर्स बेस्ड ऑन द न्यू गाइडलाइंस, और फिर हम वैलिडेट कर सकते हैं कि वेदर वो चेंजेस अच्छे हैं कि नहीं है. और अगेन एआई जनरेटेड असाइनमेंट जो है वो अभी काफ़ी नई चीज़ है, बट वो दैट इज समथिंग विच इज़ इवॉल्विंग क्वाइट फास्ट. और एक और टूल है जो मैं आपको जल्दी से दिखा देता हूँ. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड मैजिक स्कूल. तो मैजिक स्कूल अगेन एक पेड टूल है, बट दे हैव लाइक सम वेरी गुड फीचर्स. सो अब मैजिक स्कूल में क्या है, एनीथिंग दैट अ टीचर माइट नीड ऑन अ डे टू डे बेसिस, वो सब चीज़ें हमारे को बहुत इजीली एक्सेसिबल हैं. सो इसका वेबसाइट इज magicschool.ai. तो अब जैसे हमारे को लेसन प्लान क्रिएट करना है, वर्कशीट क्रिएट करनी है, MCQ क्रिएट करना है, प्रोफेशनल ईमेल क्रिएट करना है, ट्रांसलेट करना है ना, मे बी वी हैव टू राइट अ रिकमेंडेशन फॉर स्टूडेंट्स, तो ये सब चीज़ों के लिए इसमें टूल्स हैं. तो मतलब ऑलमोस्ट सारे एरियाज में हेल्प कर सकता है मैम. दैट इज व्हाट आई वांट टू से. कहीं पे भी हमको हेल्प चाहिए उन सब चीजों में AI कैन हेल्प राइट नाउ.
Thank you, sir.
How
Sir,
to check
मैंने
the accuracy of the content generated by AI, sir?
So ma'am, there are two parts to it. So one thing is when AI gives us a response, one is it gives us a response based on its own knowledge. The second way that it gives a response is it looks online for relevant sources, and then based on that it gives a response. To the first one has a high chance of giving a wrong response, but in the second case it always gives a good response. तो जैसे हम perplexity है, so in perplexity whenever we ask a question, it basically goes online, searches on that topic, finds the relevant articles, and then gives a response. So perplexity's response, I would say, are almost every time 100% accurate. The first way around, where we're just asking ChatGPT a question and it has given an answer based on its knowledge, previously sometimes it used to give a wrong answer, but these new models like GPT-4, GPT-5, they are very advanced. So generally, you will find a rare case where they are generally wrong. So that issue that we had, that AI can give wrong response, it has come down drastically. It is still there, but it is much more manageable now. Like, I would say, don't blindly trust what AI is giving you, but 90 to 99, 90 to 95% of the time, generally it is error free. And generally those errors occur in either very niche fields or when we have given contradictory instructions to an AI.
Thank you, sir.
I hope that answers the
Very
question.
informative, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions?
Sir, one question, please.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir. If we collect the data, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, collect the data through AI model and written in own language. Then is it possibility of plagiarism?
So, sir, we might have to find the right citations because the ideas that AI is giving us have come from somewhere.
Yes, sir.
So even though the content is original, but those ideas are not ours. So at least उनका हमको citation ढूंढना पड़ेगा.
तो सर साइटेशन का मतलब कैसे देंगे सर? फिर वो जैसे चैट जीपीटी से लिया है या फिर हाँ सर.
So उसमें what I would suggest is always keep the search feature on and then ask a question. तो अब जैसे chat GPT में
हाँ सर.
when I go to chat GPT, यहाँ पे I have this option called web search. So I can turn on this feature and then I can say something like even what is a prime number, right? And then I can provide a note. Always give me relevant sources. तो अगर मैं इससे कोई भी क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा, even a question which is as basic as what is a prime number, ideally it should do an online search and then give me some source from where it is quoting from. Right? अब perplexity में same चीज I can do with research papers कि only look at research papers. तो अभी मेरे को idea भी मिल गया है कि what I have to include, plus मेरे को some sources भी मिल गए हैं about what to include from there. I hope that this is useful. Yes,
okay, sir.
Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, my question is from our yesterday's session.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday I tried to build up a website from Perplexity, GenSpark, and ChatGPT.
Yes, sir.
Same prompt I had given to 3 of them. तीनों ने परफॉर्म तो किया, लेकिन जेनस्पार्क का जो था डिस्प्ले बहुत अच्छा था, यानी उसका प्रेजेंटेशन वो बहुत अच्छा आया परप्लेक्सिटी से. चैट जीपीटी ने कोडिंग बहुत दिया, उसको एग्जीक्यूट करना पड़ा, एंड देन इट इज अगेन आस्किंग फॉर एग्जीक्यूट दिस 3 points 2 points, आई डोंट नो व्हाट दे, बट ही इज आस्किंग फॉर डाउनलोड एंड एग्जीक्यूशन. मुझे तीनों में प्रॉब्लम ये रहा कि वो जो कल मैंने क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि इसे मैं मेरे ड्राइव पे कैसे लेके जाऊँ, वो मैं नहीं कर पाया उसको. तो उसके रिगार्डिंग मुझे हेल्प चाहिए थी आपसे.
बिल्कुल सर. सो आपका जो पॉइंट है वो बहुत वैलिड है। जनरली मैंने भी नोटिस किया है कि जेनस्पार्क और मानस जो है, जो नए एजेंट्स हैं, उनका यूआई जो है, यूजर इंटरफेस है, बहुत अच्छा दिखता है। whereas perplexity और chat gpt का थोड़ा बेसिक है। so there is a little bit of nuance to it, मतलब little bit of soft understanding of software development helps, but let's say we don't want to do that and we want to use these tools still. तो जब हम chat gpt यूज करते हैं तो it is a good idea to say create a one page website in canvas, right? तो अब बेसिकली ये जो कैनवस वाला फीचर है वो चैट जीपीटी का काफी पावरफुल है। तो अब मैं जैसे इसमें बोलता हूँ कि आई वांट अ वेबसाइट व्हिच कैन बेसिकली एडिट फोटोग्राफ्स, काइंड ऑफ लाइक एज पावरफुल एज इवन अ फोटोशॉप, राइट? तो व्हेन आई गो एंड हिट एंटर, तो ये वाला ऐप विल बी लॉट मोर यूजफुल टू मी। अगर मैं इसको ये वाला इंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं दूंगा, क्रिएट अ वन पेज वेबसाइट इन कैनवस, तो मेरे को आई वुड नीड सम मोर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट, क्योंकि वो खुद से कोई एक ऐसी टेक्निक यूज करेगा जिसके लिए मुझे कुछ इंस्टॉल करना पड़ेगा या कुछ करना पड़ेगा। बट जनरली जब हम वन पेज वेबसाइट क्रिएट करते हैं, इट सिंपली वर्क्स, हमें और कुछ करना नहीं पड़ता है। तो आई थिंक ये भी अभी भी गलत कर रहा है, तो लेट्स जस्ट चेंज दिस प्रॉम्प्ट।
तो बेसिकली तीनों में से अगर मुझे वो पूरा डेटा अगर उधर लेना है तो कॉपी करके वो बेसिक तो मुझे आना ही चाहिए फिर, कि मैं गूगल ड्राइव पे या गूगल साइट पे जाके कैसे उसको एग्जीक्यूट कर पाऊँ डेटा यहाँ से लेकर।
यस सर। सो अभी जैसे HTML और जावास्क्रिप्ट जो है, अगर इसको यूज करके स्टैंड अलोन एग्जीक्यूट हो जाती हैं चीजें। तो अगर मैं ये रन करता हूँ, आई जस्ट वांट टू रन एंड सी कि क्या होता है। अब जैसे परप्लेक्सिटी में मैं बोलूंगा तो परप्लेक्सिटी पूरा फुल फ्लेज्ड ऐप बना देता है मेरे लिए। तब उसको होस्ट करने के लिए भी मुझे एक सर्वर चाहिए होगा, एक स्टोरेज चाहिए होगा, तो उतना मुझे आइडिया नहीं होगा कि क्या क्या चीजें करनी है। तो इसलिए सिंपल HTML पेज जब मैं बोलता हूँ तो दे आर वेरी सिंपल टू इम्प्लीमेंट ऑल्सो। तो जनरली ये जो है, आप ये नोट कर लीजिए, क्रिएट अ वन पेज वेबसाइट इन कैनवस इन सिंपल HTML एंड जावास्क्रिप्ट। तो ये जनरली डाउनलोड करके इफ यू जस्ट ओपन दिस फाइल तो दीज एग्जीक्यूट प्रीटी इजीली।
ओके, HTML है, मैं उसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लिया।
जी सर, आई विल
सर मैं इसे ट्राई करूंगा एंड इफ आई गेट एनी प्रॉब्लम आई विल कांटेक्ट यू पर्सनली इफ यू आर ओके विद इट।
डेफिनेटली सर, नो इश्यूज।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
हेलो सर।
यस सर।
सर अभी कोई पूछ रहे थे ना कि कंटेंट AI का कंटेंट है या कौन सी वेबसाइट से लिया, तो हम ड्रिल बिट या टर्निटी प्लेगरिज्म जो सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करके भी उसमें भी बता देता है ना वो कि हम कहाँ से यूज किया कहाँ से नहीं।
जी सर, जी सर, बिल्कुल सर। सो बहुत सारे टूल्स हैं जो हमारे को साइटेशन प्रोवाइड कर देते हैं।
सर जो फ्री में वो कौन सा है सर? फ्री में ग्रामरली है क्या सर?
ग्रामरली भी फ्री नहीं है सर। जनरली फ्री साइटेशन टूल्स आई डोंट रिकमेंड आल्सो, क्योंकि दे डू हाफ अ जॉब। तो मतलब आई वुड से आप जेमिनाई यूज कर सकते हैं कि ये ऑप्शन है। और एक और एक्चुअली परप्लेक्सिटी में एक ऑप्शन है, लेट मी क्विकली चेक इफ आई कैन फाइंड इट।
और सर जब मैं फ्री में प्लेगरिज्म करता हूँ और रियल में जैसा ड्रिल बिट और पेड वाला सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करते हैं, दोनों में डिफरेंस आता है सर?
बिल्कुल सर।
और क्यों आता है सर ऐसा डिफरेंस?
तो सर जनरली प्लेजरिज्म और AI जनरेटेड कंटेंट आर बेस्ड ऑन एल्गोरिथम्स, कि वो डिपेंड करता है कि आप जो टूल यूज कर रहे हैं वो कौन सा एल्गोरिथम यूज कर रहा है। तो वो जो डिफरेंस इसीलिए आता है कि डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हिच एल्गोरिथम दे आर यूजिंग, एक एल्गोरिथम बोलता है 30% AI जनरेटेड है, दूसरा एल्गोरिथम बोलता है 50% जनरेटेड है। एंड ये एल्गोरिथम जनरली होते कैसे हैं, तो मतलब इन रिसर्च दे हैव फाउंड कि AI जनरेटेड कंटेंट जो होता है, जनरली द नंबर ऑफ वर्ड्स पर सेंटेंस इज सिमिलर, तो दैट इज लाइक एन इंडिकेटर ऑफ AI जनरेटेड कंटेंट। तो ऐसे बहुत सारे अलग अलग एल्गोरिथम्स लोगों ने बना रखे हैं, और वो जब हम वो एल्गोरिथम यूज करते हैं तो बताता है, इट गिव्स अ डिफरेंट नंबर। यस सर।
Sir, one more question.
यस मैम।
Sir, data structure and flow for the flow chart. Which AI tool is good to create a fine flow?
So to create flowcharts, ma'am, I would suggest use the way that I just suggested na, कि basically we can use tools like mermaid chart या फिर draw.io, and then
सर
we can create
सबसे
files like this using
सबसे
chat.
अच्छा सर स्टार यूएमएल है, बस स्टार यूएमएल है, लेकिन ड्रॉ डॉट आईओ के लिए सर इंटरनेट चाहिए हमेशा।
जी सर।
स्टार यूएमएल डाउनलोड करो, इंस्टॉल करो, यूज करो।
यस सर, बट लाइक इस अप्रोच का बेनिफिट ये है कि आप ये किसी भी सॉफ्टवेयर के लिए कर सकते हैं, राइट? अगर आप कोई कस्टम सॉफ्टवेयर यूज कर रहे हैं जैसे कि एक्सपाइंड हो गया या कुछ और हो गया, तो आप वो फाइल जनरेट कर सकते हैं एआई के थ्रू एंड देन यूज इट इन विच एवर सॉफ्टवेयर यू वांट। बट मैम बहुत सारे टूल्स हैं, आई वुड सजेस्ट गूगल सर्च करके एक बार देखिए मैम आपका स्पेसिफिक यूज केस के लिए कौन सा है। जनरली मैं draw.io और mermaid यूज करता हूँ। सो draw.io में भी एक AI फीचर है, लेट मी क्विकली शो इट। तो जब हम आई रिपीट माई सेल्फ, सो आई वेंट टू फाइल, आई क्रिएटेड अ न्यू डायग्राम। तो यहाँ पे मेरे को ऑप्शंस आ रहे हैं कि डू आई वांट अ ब्लैंक डायग्राम, डू आई वांट अ क्लास डायग्राम, फ्लो चार्ट, ऑर्ग चार्ट, कौन सा चाहिए। तो यहाँ पे द सेकेंड ऑप्शन जो है जनरेट का, आई कैन ऑल्सो जनरेट यूजिंग दिस। सो
सर स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रही आप।
Sir, if possible, please share your screen.
यस मैम, वन सेकेंड।
आपने दूसरा कौन सा बोले सर? पहले ड्रॉ डॉट आईओ, सेकंड वन
मर्मेड चार्ट्स। सो ये मर्मेड चार्ट है जो मैंने यूज किया था। तो हाउ मर्मेड चार्ट्स वर्क इज बेसिकली हम इसमें कोड डाल सकते हैं, कोई भी कोड, और वी कैन गेट दिस कोड जनरेटेड यूजिंग चैट जीपीटी। How draw.io works is it opens this thing and it is free of cost. So we can click on file, create a new diagram. तो जब हम ये create करते हैं, it gives us bunch of options. But ये जो second option है generate वाला, so I can go and say, you know, and a very simple use case. Can you create a flow chart to identify if a given number is prime? Click on OK. And then it has created that chart for us. तो इसका एडवांटेज ये है कि आई कैन इवन मूव दिस थिंग्स अगर मुझे चाहिए, अगर किसी और फॉर्मेट में डालना है, कोई और चीज़ें ऐड करनी है, तो दिस इज ऑल्सो एन एडिटेबल फिगर।
Thank you very much, sir.
यस मैम। If there are no other questions, then I think we can take a break. We can come back in 10 minutes.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
Okay. Then see you at around 12:10.
Yes, sir. 12:10 we will start. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for first session.
Thank you.
Friends, we will start at 12:10. You just take refreshment break. Don't leave the meeting.
Yes, madam.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.